There is a stream. No, that's not. Let me see if that's one now. Waiting for. Here we go. Yes, I can hear myself. That is good. Welcome, everybody. Welcome back in case you are once again awake or still awake. It is Monday, the 17th of March. In this year of our Lord 2025, it's time to do the breakfast, reading, writing, productivity sprints that I try to do every morning. And I was doing a casual Sunday stream last night and went to bed at 1 a.m. and now it's 8 a.m. So you can imagine how incredibly awake I am. One might even say woke. No, I hope not. Anyway, how's everybody doing? So as usual, we'll have a bit of a casual chat for like 15 minutes-ish, and then I go and try to do during the first sprint at least, productivity things, by which I mean looking at all the stuff I've missed over the weekend, messages, comments on YouTube videos, that kind of stuff. And then, well, do that for like 45 minutes, catching up on emails I haven't read, all that, good stuff. And then we'll have another chat, and then I'll be back for a final goodbye before I run off to the gym. When it comes to the, reading part, I am still reading Summer of Fire and Blood by Lyndall Roper, which is a book about the German Peasants' War, one of those really fun conflicts that maybe more people should know about. I highly recommend the book in case you have never heard of the German Peasants' War, and even if you have heard about it. And you learn a lot about how Germany worked around the year 1500, 1520, how society was structured, what rights peasants had, what rights they didn't have, and how some peasants actually, went to court because they were unhappy with their lords and stuff, and there were like mechanisms to sort that stuff out in Germany. Germany having a very different sort of like medieval structure from, say, England or France. Our feudal system over here in this part of the world was less absolute in some regards, more absolute in some other regards. It's a weird mix of things. But you could totally sue your liege lord if you were unhappy with them doing whatever they were doing, and if they were not holding up their side of the bargain in that wonderful thing that is feudalism. It obviously also intersects with the beginning Reformation. A lot of the sort of like peasantry, and often like peasantry and some artisans and stuff, miners in the Harz Mountains, for example, also very much. A lot of them are early adopters of the Reformation in a lot of ways, and different forms of Reformation theology are a big part of this. Famously, Martin Luther is cited as an inspiration by a lot of peasants who are rising up, and was not very happy with that, and did in fact disavow them mightily and support the aristocracy. Good morning, Kat. How are you doing on this wonderful morning? Dare I ask if there was any progress since yesterday on your on the tech side of your play activities? Probably not, right? I mean, not overnight. But I hope you get everything sorted out in time. What are you actually reading at the moment, Kat? I am, just reading things. I might read The Buffalo Hunter tomorrow. We will see. I might also read Red Rabbit. I do have it now at Destin de Arcadia. But yeah, so that's sort of what I'm doing at the moment, and I like it's the Lyndall Roper one on the Peasants' War is not exactly a Not too much of a deep dive. It's maybe 500 pages, 450-ish, I guess, which is not enough to cover the whole thing in like massive detail, but I think it's a good overview. It has enough sort of like neat little details that you can sort of like tie back into stuff. And I like that she does take enough time to sort of tie in the religious and sort of like larger metaphysical elements into that, like the different fears and prophecies of like a second deluge, of all kinds of other stuff happening that is sort of like tied into that, especially with people like Thomas Münzer being very much of an apocalypse kind of dude. Oh yeah, right. I saw you planning a Sorcery of Thorns. Um, but do you get like your light and tech stuff from like are you renting that from like a company, or is that a friend knows someone who has the light stuff lying around? I'm just asking because you know because I've organized concerts and often organized concerts. We obviously have the same sort of issue where you're like, oh God, we still need to get, we still need to get this specific piece of tech somewhere, and then you call around until you find someone who still has that lying around, or you hire like a company, and then you have to obviously pay more, and you know something I've done before as well. So that's why I was curious about the tech stuff. But yeah, it can be a bit of a pain because a lot of people working in the more like art and entertainment stuff, I feel are obviously there's different levels of reliability there. Oh yeah, that makes it even harder because universities are notoriously bureaucratic, and it's like, oh yeah, we have a tech department, and we'll ask them, and they'll do that, and then you realize that some important email hasn't been sent, or the person who was supposed to read that email has been first on holiday and then on sick leave, and also actually doesn't work here anymore for like 5 years. So why do they still get emails? Um, uh, yeah, that doesn't make it easier. I can see that. Ooh, good luck with the car then. When is the play? Also, and most importantly, what is the play? I assume you're doing like another classic Greek tragedy or comedy kind of thing, or is it something very different? I was trying to think if I know someone with a van in your part of Belgium, but I don't think I do. Like I know people who play in bands in Belgium. Like, are they close? Because people in bands usually have vans, but I think they're all more to the other side of Brussels. Oh, that's annoying. That's annoying. I hope they maybe understand the urgency for the whole thing. Good luck with that. Oh, nice. Well, that sounds interesting. And good on you for actually doing the adaptation yourself. That is quite the deal. I mean, I don't think I could adapt like a novel into a play. But then, luckily, I don't do literature, do I? But you're like a general like university theater group, or is it just you and a couple of friends that do this? And I realize that there might be those things might be synonymous at this point. So you have exactly 2 weeks until the thing starts. That's still enough time to actually, get the lights and everything sorted. So yeah, good luck with that. I'm sure it'll be fine, but I understand the sort of like stress when you're waiting for things to click and you're like, oh, I'm still waiting for it. Like we were waiting for some communication from the city because because we were doing something last year. That was we were doing like a theater performance thing, and we were organizing it, not actually doing it. On like a square in town. So we needed, and it was in cooperation with the city, but obviously need like you need like permits to have like water and electricity, and it's an open square, and you need to do all of this stuff. And then you're constantly waiting for emails from like the different parts of the administration, the city administration. You're like, hey, they're like. They don't reply to emails. You call them. They're like, "Oh, yeah, sure, no problem." We're like, "Well, we need this in writing. Can you please reply to that email?" And they're like, "Well, yeah, tomorrow maybe." Oh, God, nice. That is a really cool thing. But then, yeah, like student unions are a big deal in Belgian university life. I've come to learn. That is sadly not necessarily the case in Germany. Like they're not as sort of like built into tradition, I think, for all kinds of, I guess, historical reasons. Like I don't think I think like what I've realized like with that is that like German student unions are very strictly separated from fraternities and other sort of like things in that like student unions are just focused on like doing academic stuff mostly, and then you have fraternities which are not doing any like academic stuff but are doing alcohol and racism, and then there's like nothing in between. And like Belgium student unions, with the whole thing with like the cantus and all of that stuff is something where I'm like, yeah, we don't have that. Obviously the Nazis do have it, but I don't want to do that. Hmm. Do you think that's more like a one of those things where we have where it's like a post-COVID thing that like once people came back from the whole like studying at home in front of their computer, they are less active when it comes to doing like student activities, or do you think it's more like a general like zeitgeist thing where people have no interest in doing theater in general? Because I feel like a lot of like student life here has not fully recovered since COVID as well, where stuff that was completely normal and no one thought about it um, now has to be sort of like actively organized, and then still no one will show up because sort of that like unwritten, unspoken, just assumed form of student culture was interrupted through the COVID like lockdowns in a way. All right. I just looked at the time. We are due one sprint. So maybe let's do that. Make more tea, get coffee, get breakfast, and figure out what to do next for the day and all of that. So I will talk to you in 4 to 5 minutes, and in case you are already on your run by then, I wish you success for the day. And I am back. How did we all do? And the Demidrack has returned, and I saw you just posted a comment. I haven't had the time to press the button on the like and thing yet, but I will next sprint. How are you doing? Hello, Apollo. How are you doing? Yeah, I guess Kat went, so good luck to you, Kat. And hello, Apollo. And yeah, how are you guys doing this morning? Well, I'm awake. I'm on the second pot of tea, and I have had some breakfast, so I guess I'm good. And I have avoided the news so far, which I think was a smart decision. um, yeah, was just checking messages. I have replied to almost all comments except for the one that Demidrag just posted. Um, and I just realized that I forgot to pay my phone bill, so I better do that during the next sprint. I mean, I still have time, but I just saw the email again. I'm like, oh god, I kind of missed that one. Yeah, me too. No, Apollo. I like doing like a live stream is fine, but I there's a lot of adrenaline like during a live stream, so it usually takes like another like I don't know hour for me to sort of like wind down afterwards. So it was like 1 a.m. or something before I actually managed to go to bed, and it was a rough morning. But what can you do? Nothing. That's what. Although we'll see how I feel after the gym. That may accelerate things some more. But yeah. So beyond that, yeah, I guess I'm gonna read the Buffalo Hunter Hunter next tomorrow. I mean, it comes out tomorrow, and I don't think I have anything I really need to read before that. I mean, I kind of want to go back and do some more like refreshing my memory for the Mormonism video, but I'm pretty sure I can do that. Sort of on the side, and that's kind of the plan to go to the gym, come back home, record the weekly navel gazing, and while it is doing its rendering and all of that, I can go and uh, the work on the Mormonism video, do some structuring, that kind of stuff, because all the notes I made back in November are unfortunately lost to time by now because I didn't save them. Tea does definitely help. I can tell you that. So yeah, that's kind of what I plan to do for the day, and then I can keep through the week. Just makes me wonder whether I should also reread some more of the Brigham Young biography, or if I can just rely on my memory on that one. And yeah, I really want to get the whole thing recorded during the week if I can, so it's out of the way and I can focus on other things. And yeah, on the side, I'm talking to a friend who's we are sort of toying with the idea of doing something podcast like, but nothing concrete yet in any way, shape, or form. It's just like an idea, and we're just batting around thoughts and concepts and stuff. So we'll see if that works out, and if so, what it actually turns into, and we'll see. Since I am not Irish, I don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, so it's just a regular day for me. But yeah, like after the weekend, I was super motivated to come back and finally get that whole Mormonism thing off my chest. We'll see if that sort of like enthusiasm is still there later today, because that's usually the thing. You have like this moment of like, yeah, I'm so ready, I'm going to do this tomorrow, and then tomorrow rolls around and you're like, I guess I'll just go to bed. Which, also a valid choice. How far along are you with the with Memories of Ice now, Demidrek? Oh, that one. Yeah, that one is fun with Beauchelin and Kobelbroch. Which reminds me, I finally do have the collected tales, first collected tales of Beauchelin and Kobelbroch, and the second collected tales. So I need to finally read those. I've heard they might be something I enjoy because they're interesting and funny characters, and it's sort of like Erikson channeling his more like dark and twisted humor side. So could be fun. They're also, I guess, very grotesque in general. For context, Apollo, since I don't think you have read the Malazan Book of the Fallen, in the Malazan world, there's like Beauchelin and Kobelbroch. They're like two necromancers, and they're traveling around, and they have like a weird servant who sort of can't leave, and they're constantly tormenting him. And there's a collection of short stories where they usually get into some terrible mischief, something terrible happens, and then they have to leave town again because necromancers. And they do show up in a couple of the main novels, but usually they're short stories or novellas of relatively short size, and they were recently collected into like 2 volumes with like 3 stories each. And I think there's a 7th one that hasn't been collected anywhere yet. Yeah, they're really fun. And apparently, back when the whole Malazan stuff started as a role-playing game, they were characters that Steven Erikson and a friend started playing, and the game master at the time had to cancel break up the game because it got too weird and too dark very quickly, and that's sort of like where those 2 characters come from. So yeah, lots of like necromancers doing necromancer stuff, and potentially Frankensteining it up a bit. All right, good luck with the tea and breakfast. Yeah, it is fun if that very sort of grotesque kind of humor is your thing. That's like a given there. So I'm very excited to finally read those, and if I do so, there will be videos on each of those because I'm a Malazan completist when it comes to the videos. So that's something that will definitely happen. Although I might hold off on them for a bit. So because I want to do some Malazan rereading later in the year to be ready for No Life Forsaken, and I'm sure they'll fit right in there. So we'll see if there's like a Malazan autumn thing happening this year. I remember for the last Beauchelin and Kobelbroch story Erikson was writing, he was putting up like handwritten pages on his Facebook page like every day when he was writing it. So apparently he was writing it in longhand, which I've noticed a lot of authors are doing it these days, like writing stuff in longhand. Steven Erikson, I don't think he does that for everything, but he certainly did for the last Beauchelin and Kobelbroch. I know that Neil Stevenson does write in longhand at least sometimes, which holy shit! Apparently, he wrote the entire Baroque cycle in longhand. I've seen Max Gladstone talk about it, and I've seen what's his face, Martin McInnes, the guy who wrote In Ascension. He apparently also wrote that book in longhand, which interesting. Also, who's doing the actual like digitizing and typing up afterwards is what I want to know. because someone has to be able to decipher that stuff. And I think I listened to an interview with Robert Caro, the guy who wrote The Power Broker, and he said that he's writing his first draft in longhand because it allows him to sort of like form the next word while he's still writing one. While when he's typing, his typing is too fast for him to sort of like think out the words in his head, which makes sense when you read The Power Broker and realize how much attention he pays to like sentences and sentence structure and prose style, how much attention he pays to style in what is essentially a nonfiction book and a biography, basically. I remember like the opening where he talks about like all the stuff that Robert Moses built, and he patterned it after the list of ships in the Iliad, right? And he apparently he listed all those buildings, and then until it did match that rhythm, and I'm like, that's a level of attention I don't think most nonfiction authors pay these days. I really should make a video on The Power Broker as well. It's a fascinating book, and there's a lot to be learned about from it, I think, both on like how to do nonfiction, what maybe not to do with nonfiction. Shit, man, I'm sorry. Sorry to hear that, Demitrek. On the other hand, I guess that makes moving to France easier on the upside, I guess. But yeah, that sucks. I'm very sorry. I hope do you have like enough some savings to sort of like get through the immediate like future, or how's your situation? And is there anything we can do to help you? Is that because of the that's like, I guess my other question is that because of the general like financial bullshit going on right now? Because I know you were like programming stuff in the data science stuff. So is that part of that, or was it unrelated to the current layoffs happening in like anything science related in the US? Okay, so that at least I guess saves on cost of living in some regards. But yeah, yeah. Yeah, as I said, it gives you even more reasons to move to France if you can find a job there. I've heard that Europe is actively hunting, or at least making it very easy for science-related people to move to Europe and engage in science here now. And you said you had like French citizenship, right? So you don't even need a work visa, I guess. You can just like move here and start working, which is super easy. Okay, I see. Well, that's a bummer. I hope you find a way out of this. And as I said, like if there's something we can do beyond, just talk about books and stuff, we, always glad to help. I'm thinking about. I obviously have friends in France, but they're usually working in. I mean, they live in Catalonia, the French side of Catalonia, and they live mostly in. And I don't know if there's a lot of stuff science-wise going on there that needs programmers. Although, I mean, isn't Niflrog is in? He's somewhere in Normandy, and he's doing physics. But here's the thing, right, Demitrek? You are on the Unabridged Burners Discord. Niflrog is from the Dominican Republic, but he's doing he's finished his PhD, but I think he's still working in physics at the university in France. So I guess you might like if he shows up on the server, you can probably hit him up and ask for like specific pointers when it comes to like moving to France and doing this kind of stuff, because he has done that from already. So might be someone who can help you there. So that might be worth might be worth hitting him up and see if he can give you some pointers to how to go about that, because I've not moved to France. So yeah, good luck with that. Have you assigned? You have to go to the roles thing, and then you have to select some roles, and I think you have to do that before you can actually see messages in the server. I can like during sprints. Let me check if I can sort that out. I might be able to also assign roles to you there, because I think I have, well, not full admin privileges, but moderator privileges, so I might be able to do that. But otherwise, there's like a role assignment thing, and that you can there you can select which channels you have access to. That should also give you access to the unabridged to the general chat. But I can help you sort that out during the next sprints, which I guess we should probably start now. So why not actually do that? Let's go to sprints, and I'll see if I can sort you out there with the roles, and then I do the other thing that I said I would, which is pay my phone bill. Yeah, try to assign it yourself, and otherwise I'll see what I can do. But we're gonna get that figure. That part I'm pretty sure we can get figured out. All right, so let's do this, and I'll be back around the full hour, so I can then rush to the gym. All right, I am back. How are you guys doing? I have not seen you post anywhere, Demidrex, so I hope the role assignment thing worked out. And yeah, did you get some tea and breakfast, Apollo? I hope so. I am. I did pay my bills, so there's that, right? I guess we call that success. And I did read one more newsletter that I had to go through. And I passed a couple of podcasts that I listen to my friends, so we can sort of like share sort of like what kind of format we might be interested in. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, since we're both like historians or have like studied history in adjacent fields, it might turn out to be more of like a history themed kind of thing that we're doing. It's more that they well their contract ran out where they were working for now, and so they have like a month of job search and nothing else coming up, and we figured that might be the best time to see if that is something we might enjoy as a side project. Well, I'm glad you're doing surprisingly well. You know, the sun is now up. I'm happy about that. Like earlier today, it was like still super foggy and dark, but now I start to see that sunlight blazing through my window. Well, washing your face can sometimes help with like the waking up and becoming active part. So I guess that might have done the trick. So yeah, and in case you're curious, two of the podcasts I just sent along were some "Well, There's Your Problem" stuff, and of course some lines led by donkeys, and guess I might add some cool people who did cool stuff as well. But time was up, and searching that kind of stuff on my phone is always a bit of a pain in the ass. Yeah, yeah. Swedish Reform Gymnastics sounds like sounds about right. See, I, as a Waldorf school kid, did actually not do yoga or a Swedish Reform Gymnastics. I did do proto-fascist Reform Gymnastics, I guess. But then again, that kind of counts for most most gymnastics origin, I guess. Although Steiner himself was Austrian and then ended up in Switzerland. All right. Have a wonderful day as well, Apollo. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for hanging out again. I always feel bad when I'm this ubiquitous on the screen, but have a good day. I'll go and do some stuff will happen throughout the day. So I'll see you guys around somewhere, I guess.